This is Rock and Roll English. Real people, real English. Here's your host, Martin Johnston.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Rock and Roll English, episode number 314, however you want to say it. In today's episode, we have Boom Boom Cannon back. In my opinion, really is one of the best ever episodes of Rock and Roll English. That's a big statement, I know, but I have just edited the podcast and I was laughing almost non-stop. A true Rock and Roll English episode where we talk about embarrassing things that happen to all of us. Now, one word is important because obviously we talk about poo very quickly in the episode actually, and we use the word flush to flush the toilet. You know, you go to the toilet, you pull the flush and then the water goes down. That is the flush. It is important to this podcast, okay? Anyway, remember, if you have any difficulty understanding either myself or Boom Boom, maybe more Boom Boom, sometimes I notice he does speak really quickly, then remember to check out my online course, Jungle Listening, which will enable you to understand native speakers speaking really fast because we take the audio, slow it down, and then move it back to full speed. So then when you're listening to conversations, it feels like they are talking in slow motion. So if you are interested, click the link in the description to this podcast you are listening to right now. Just one thing before we start. Sorry, we were supposed to be doing a podcast every week. Sometimes it's just a bit difficult for me to do. Obviously, with two children, trying to run a business and everything, sometimes weekends, obviously, it's not so easy to make a podcast. So I will try to do a podcast every week, but I cannot guarantee it. But don't worry, there will be at least one podcast every 2 weeks. I will talk to you all again at the end, but in the meantime, happy listening. Boom Boom Cannon, how are you today?
I'm very well, Martin. How are you?
Always fantastic, Boom Boom. Always fantastic. Even more so, I'm talking to you. Back by popular demand. We had the RnR Family meetup recently, and a few people were saying, "Where's Boom Boom?" At the end of the night, they were all shouting, "We want Boom Boom."
Really? Wow. Wow, that's almost hard to believe, but I'm going to believe it.
Yeah, it may have been a slight exaggeration in there, but definitely back by popular demand. So how do we usually start the show?
With a review.
Do you think we have one?
I would be amazed if we don't.
Okay, good answer. I thought you were, in your typical pessimistic self, you were going to say, I would be amazed if we do.
Yeah, flipped it at the end there.
Nice. We do. We have an unbelievable review from Katie on Facebook, and it says, I usually don't listen to podcasts made for English learners because I find them boring, but Rock and Roll English is different. You can learn a lot even if you're an advanced speaker, and it's fun. I learn slang and useful phrases whilst listening to real life stories. I used to feel more comfortable with American English, and it's the first time I actually enjoy listening to British English. Martin and his friends speak real English from everyday life, and it has nothing to do with what I learned at school. It even gets better than this. I joined the Rock and Roll English family a few months ago, and there are more than 1,000 episodes. I can listen to the podcast every day, and the transcripts help me understand the details and make real progress. When I joined, I couldn't imagine it would be so much fun. Martin is such a nice person and dedicated teacher, and the community is so welcoming. Joining the family is an excellent way to keep you motivated and actively improve your listening and speaking skills. I doubt I could find anything better. Wow.
From Martin Johnston.
Now, I have mentioned I've been very clear the times I left myself reviews. I normally didn't go into so much detail. It was normally, this is the best podcast ever from Martin, the host. But no, this is from Katie, who I obviously know, who is in the Rock and Roll English family. So, yeah, where to start? I mean,
it's
just
a great review.
What a review. So thank you very much for that, Katie. And to everyone else listening, yeah, were you listening to what Katie said there? Just join the Rock and Roll English family. As she said, I doubt I could find anything better, anything in the world.
Amen.
Amen. Exactly. So moving on to today's show, Boom Boom. I was in a bit of a fluster, so a bit worried of like, oh, what are we going to do this about? Because it's quite difficult to think of topics after you've made more than 300 normal episodes and more than 1,000 family episodes. You do start running out of things to talk about. But obviously I was in a bit of a panic, so I thought, what should I do? And I started flicking through social media, of course. And then I saw something which I thought was hilarious. And it said, there is nothing worse than doing a poo at someone's house and then the toilet won't flush. So I thought we could talk about embarrassing things that could happen, and we can say if they have happened to you. Okay.
I don't know if I signed up for this actually.
And normally with these kind of things, I do like to ease our way in. But I thought, well, let's start with that one. So that exact situation, has that ever happened to you, Boom Boom?
Flush not working.
Well, you've done a poo at someone's house and the flush doesn't work.
I've done the first part. I mean, there's no point.
Well,
pretend to haven't.
Even the first part, though, you've got to know someone well to do that, don't you?
Yeah.
Or are you just going around pooing in everyone's house?
No, you do. You do. Of course, you do. But maybe sometimes you can't always pick and choose your moments, can you?
I am totally with you there, because sometimes, even in the pub. So I went to the pub for the first time quite recently, and I went to the toilet, and let's say took quite a while before I came back to the table. And my friend said, well, what were you doing? And I said, well, I was doing a shit. What do you expect? And he said, oh, I can't believe you would do one in the pub. And I was like, I need to go. When nature calls.
Is this corporal coma that you're referring to?
No, it wasn't. Okay. It was actually PTTJ.
Oh, okay.
And what can you do?
Yeah, what can you do? Yeah, if nature calls, there's not a lot you can do. But pub is at least more of a kind of neutral zone, right?
Yeah, but in terms of quality and hygiene,
it's much worse.
Much worse than pooing in a friend's house, because
I'd be disappointed if I went to any friend's house and I thought this toilet is less hygienic than a pub toilet. Because that's a pretty low bar.
Yeah. Well, obviously, once there's alcohol involved, and especially for men here, I don't think many people are aiming their piss directly into that toilet. So there is all sorts going on around that toilet. But yeah, when you need to go, you need to go. So yeah, have you ever had the not flushing thing at someone's house?
I think I have. Yeah, I think I have. But I think I've definitely had the sort of not knowing, maybe having to flush more than once. Let's put it that way. And that's often, if people can hear the flushing, even that in itself becomes problematic.
Definitely, because if you're flushing more than once, people are thinking, why is he flushing that toilet so much? Something must be happening there.
Yeah. Something's going on in there.
I've been there. The ones in particular, I remember this happening to me, and it wouldn't flush. Luckily, it was a bit of a party, let's say. I would say gathering, more of a gathering. So it wasn't a proper full-on party, but there were probably 15 people there. And I wasn't so friendly with these people, let's say. It was when I was living in Rome. And so I thought, what am I going to do? I can't go out and mention this. So I just did the very honourable thing and sort of put my head out the door to make sure no one was there, and then just left it there and didn't mention it. So
nice.
I thought whoever goes in the toilet next, we just blame it on them. Because they're going to have this problem. They're going to go to the toilet, realise it won't flush, and
they are also, they're going to face, well, in some ways the same problem, but I would say a much worse problem because they didn't put it there in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, we could actually just have a whole podcast here about pooing in other people's houses and in public.
Yeah. The things, you started this with, after so many episodes, it's difficult to, come up with sort of fresh topics. I feel like you have covered this topic before.
I don't think we've covered the pooing in other people's houses, though. Definitely poo is a big thing. That's the thing. There's so many different elements to poo that it takes more than 300 episodes plus 1,000 family episodes to cover.
True.
But okay, moving on. So the first part of this probably is not relevant to you because it says having your own private mini concert in the car. Now, obviously, Boom Boom doesn't actually drive, so I don't think that's happened to you. But
don't drive, no.
What about headphones? You're walking down the street, a great song comes on. Like, how crazy are you going?
No, I think I can control myself when it comes to singing in public. Laughing can be harder with a podcast, for instance. Like one as funny as this, for example. Probably the more embarrassing, maybe with music, maybe would be if I have it on at the gym, and then I'm sort of getting a bit too sort of into some some motivational music, but I'm generally not singing.
And then you end up getting a backache because you're trying to lift lift those weights so much.
I've motivated myself too much.
Yeah. See, I sometimes will actually sing. If I've had a few beers, if I've had my like 3 beer, which is like the absolute peak for me, like 3 beers and then like walking home or something. Sometimes I just think I don't give a fuck. I'm a rock star.
Go for it.
And I really do think I am a rock star. I'm not sure what the people looking at me think. But yeah, sometimes I will full blow, like go and sing.
Yeah, and would this be, let's say, I'm imagining the sort of 2 genres of music that might encourage you to do this. I'm thinking the sort of Oasis type sort of music that I could see you belting out and getting carried away with. And then I'd say even more embarrassingly, if this were to happen, then maybe some old school hip hop.
I'm not so good with the rhymes though.
And are you rapping in public? Yeah.
Well, I'm not. You're the rapper, Boom Boom. We know that. So
I am, but I'm a purely at home in front of the mirror rapper. So...
the big time.
Yeah. I was briefly a sort of in school playground sort of level rapper.
Also, night out, we used to sort of make a sort of little circle around you on the dance floor. That happened a few times, didn't it?
Long time ago.
Yeah. So no, I'm not much of a rapper actually, but the Oasis thing that definitely has come out a few times. But rather embarrassingly. But the car one as well. If I'm driving, there's not many things better than driving in the car and then, as you mentioned, an absolute belter comes on the radio, because there's something about a song coming on the radio, isn't there? Because if you choose a song on like your iPod, people don't use iPods. What do we use? On Spotify, right?
Yeah.
So you choose a song on Spotify. You're prepared for that. But when one just comes like bang out on the radio, it's like, whoa. And there are not many things better than just in the car singing my heart out. It's a bit more embarrassing when you get in the traffic and then like other cars are around, then you have to turn it down because you don't want to look like too much of an idiot. But yeah.
So are you still going radio? Are you going radio in the car? I don't drive, but that feels quite old school to me, like letting someone else decide what music you listen to.
Well, my car is a bit rubbish and the radio doesn't work very well.
Okay.
So, what I generally do these days now is actually just before I get in the car, I go onto YouTube because I'm too lazy to think of a podcast. YouTube just tells me, like, it has suggested videos, and then I just click that video and then just listen to that.
Okay.
But yeah, in previous times when I had a working radio in the car, had some absolutely brilliant times. Let me tell you. Okay, so what about this one? Boom, boom. So, well, 2 things here. So getting cut off in like mid conversation when someone else comes in, or so you're at a party, you were talking to someone and they just basically leave you and you're on your own. Either of these, you can share anything?
Yeah, I feel like this has happened a lot, this kind of stuff.
People not wanting to talk to you.
Yeah, it's finding an excuse to leave at a party. No, I think if I'm in like a sort of party type situation, some sort of gathering, and there's any moment where for some reason you find yourself alone, that is a very kind of self-conscious feeling. So I'm often sort of the main voice in my head in that kind of scenario is often just do whatever it takes not to be left alone.
Well, thinking about things to do in that situation, the classic now is like get your phone out, pretend you're busy.
Oh yeah.
Or depending on what type of event it is, like you might think, well, I'll go and get some food now, and then you go to food and then hope to maybe strike up a conversation with someone there. Go to the toilet, and then you might meet someone coming back. There are different tactics, aren't there?
Yeah, go for one of your long poos. Just wait the party out in the toilet.
Yeah, just do a massive poo and leave it in the toilet. That will cause some debate. You'll probably have someone talking to you after that. But the worst is when you're actually talking to someone and then they just say like, I'm just going to go over there now. And it's like, right, well, that probably means my conversation wasn't interesting enough for you. And then they just leave you and you're like, how can you just leave me hanging? You've just left me alone. You've just literally just gone to talk to someone else.
Or there's sometimes that kind of vibe where you're talking to each other. You both kind of know.
It's going nowhere.
This is going nowhere good. We could both be having more fun at this party talking to other people, but you can't really say that explicitly, can you? One of you needs to make some sort of excuse.
That is true. And on the flip side, when you are stuck with someone at a party that you don't want to be talking to, and you're trying to think, how can I get away? That's another one. So. And then the toilet is another good excuse. I'm just going to go to the toilet, come back, go and talk to someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually had this like the getting cut off thing quite recently in Italy. Mrs. RnR was doing something, and so I was with the kids in like a playground, let's say. Like obviously like kids stuff, and then I ended up talking to this sort of probably 10-year-old, and we were having a great chat about football. And he said that he supported Juventus, so I was telling him about like the Juve of old, and I said, in 1997 I went to Old Trafford to see Manchester United Juve, and then I think it was at this point.
This sounds very you.
Yeah. And I thought he'll be loving this, and then I think it was at this point, so I'm mid-sentence here, he just said, it was nice talking to you, bye, and then walked off. And I was like, you fucker.
He was probably standing there thinking, fucking hell, this old bloke's talking about 1997. I was born in 2013. Why is he banging on about 97?
I don't even know if he was born in 2013. But I thought, tell him about a bit of history, he'll be interested. And
just to put that into context, so we were born in 84. Let's say in 94 you get chatting to someone, older fella. And then he was, let me do the maths here. It's about 16 years before you. He starts talking to you about something from 1978. No, 68. Sorry, 68. That's even worse. 78 would be acceptable. You would probably quickly think, I'm going to go and chat to the other 10-year-old state. Basically.
I may have thought I wouldn't have cut him off in such a brutal way though, like he did to me. Like I was literally mid-sentence. That it was nice talking to you. Bye. I was like I would have let him down gently, okay. But this little kid was just brutal.
He just cut you off.
Just cut me off.
Wow.
Couldn't believe it. So moving on. So what about this one? I know I'm sure you've done this a lot, and I think this is a normal thing to do. Maybe not such an embarrassing thing that happens, but when I put into Google embarrassing things that happen to you every day, this is one that came up, which is talking to your pet like it's a real person. Do you do this, Boom Boom? Have you done this?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I don't have my own pet now, unfortunately.
Yeah, just any pet, anyone's
pet. I'll talk to them. Yeah, definitely do this.
Yeah, see, I obviously with my relationship with animals don't really do this, and I always do find it weird when I do see that. Although I was talking to a cat recently. This was when I was again in Sicily. We hired like a villa for the last couple of days, like a house, and then so he gave us the keys. This is the bathroom, blah blah blah. This is how this works. And then there was a cat there, and he said, "And this is the cat." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "Well, this is the cat of the house." So like, it didn't say when we booked this place that it came with a cat.
No, it should state that if it comes with a cat, that should be listed.
It should be, exactly. Yeah. It wasn't, and then the cat kept coming in. So I spent a lot of the time saying "get out" to the cat, which Mrs. RnR and toddler RnR weren't fans of because they loved the cat. And so I wake up in the morning, the cat's there, like trying to have breakfast, and it's sort of like touching your feet. So yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, just being a nice cat, basically, by the sounds of it. I feel like you tried to come up with the worst thing it did there, and what you've come up with, it touched your feet, which most people would say, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, but I wasn't expecting that. You go to a holiday home, you're not expecting a random cat, to be touching your feet at breakfast. If it had said that, obviously we wouldn't have done it.
Expecting it, exactly. I agree with that. I would call it an added bonus.
Bonus,
in a cat for free. Right. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So yeah, it definitely was not a bonus for me. But okay, what about this one, Boom Boom? I'm interested in your response to this. So, getting a birthday present you don't like. What's your reaction? So, I want to add to this. If the person says, because if you just straight out say I don't like this, then that's not on. But if the person is really saying like, if you don't like it, like just let me know, like we can change it, and they've said that a few times, how are you reacting? What do you do?
I don't think I've ever sort of made clear my displeasure at a gift. I don't think.
Never, but I would imagine there have been many times where that. In fact, I think you told me a story of someone that got you a book, which was like the 7th book in the series. So like, the equivalent of Harry Potter 7, let's say.
This was in like a sort of like a gift game type thing. A Christmas thing. Yeah. So it wasn't sort of, but still, I would say it was an unacceptable gift to put into the gift game, right? Books 7 out of 9 in a series.
They just presuming that everyone read the first 6 books.
Yeah, they definitely hadn't. They would not. It was not. This wasn't like book 7 of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I don't know how many Harry Potter books there are. I don't think there are 7. But yeah, no, that was a rubbish gift. But even then, I think I just said, cool. Well, let's hope I can find 1 to 6.
Always wanted number 7 of this book series.
I've heard that's where it really gets going, actually. So I'm pleased you've kicked me off with number 7.
I've actually only expressed my displeasure once at birthday gifts. Okay, so that was me talking to Boom Boom about lots of embarrassing things. Sorry for cutting it there. I left you on a bit of a cliffhanger, I know. A cliffhanger like at the end of Netflix. The episode finishes at a moment where you think, oh, I really want to know what happens. Now, obviously, the conversation continues in the RnR English Family area where I tell the story about the time I expressed my displeasure at a birthday gift and lots more other embarrassing stories which are not safe for the public. Anyway, remember, in the family area, there are more than 1,000 episodes. I have to do this to give you a kick up the backside to come and join because, as Katie said from the review, it really is wonderful and can help you. So I am doing this to make you take action. So, on to the vocab recap. Now, we did a couple of minutes extra on this podcast, a whole 2 minutes extra in the conversation. So, we're not going to do the vocabulary recap. And the reason also is because I am going to talk about the vocabulary on social media, on Instagram, and I'm even thinking of doing a YouTube live next week, okay, and explaining the vocabulary from the episode. Let me know what you think. But anyway, so remember to find me on Instagram and also check out my YouTube channel because I may be doing something there very soon. So thanks a lot for listening, everyone. I will talk to you all very soon. But in the meantime, just keep on rocking, baby.
Thanks so much for listening to Rock and Roll English. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit rockandrollenglish.com and facebook.com/rockandrollenglish. We'll catch you next time.